Good afternoon. My name's Greg Cahoe. I'm here with my colleagues Leah Brown and Dr. Uta Caden. We're from the University of Alaska Fairbanks, and the title of our presentation this afternoon is Changing Demographics of Teacher Candidates Force a Reevaluation of a Traditional Education Program. Even though we are secondary professors, in fact, you're looking at 3/4 of the secondary program at the University of Alaska Fairbanks. What I think you'll find valuable in our presentation is that we've noticed that there's a mismatch between traditional internship that we've had and the teacher education program that we had and the needs of our current students. So it's applicable to elementary professors as well as secondary professors interested in how we evaluated our program and are attempting to make it a better fit for our students. We're going to begin by sharing with you the content of our program, the context of our program rather, how our school fits in the state of Alaska, what our internship program looks like currently. Then we're going to share with you the changes that we've seen over the last number of years. We're going to explain to you the challenges that we faced and some of the things that we were able to do. Then we're going to share with you our vision moving forward. What is it that we could do better, and what are we still looking to change as we meet the needs of our students? Finally, we're going to wrap up and leave time at the end for questions and comments so that the group here in this room will be able to build from it and build upon our common experiences. Alaska is a big state. If you're used to seeing it in the Mercator projection, which is in the lower part of the screen, it kind of looks small, kind of tucked up on the top of Canada. That's if you see it, there. Sometimes it's just a little inset in the map. If you project it across the lower 48 with the Aleutian Islands and all the way to the Alaskan Panhandle, it pretty much stretches from California to Florida. There on the right, there's a language map that was developed by professors at the University of Alaska Fairbanks and others to show you the root languages that we have in Alaska. There's 22 different indigenous languages spoken in the state, and 20 of these can be broken into... All right, I had to take a phone call there, but we were talking about the language map. So this is produced by the Alaska Native Language Center. It's about 20 years old now and produced in collaboration with researchers, linguists from the University of Alaska Anchorage and Fairbanks. In blue, you'll see the Yupik Inuit language group, and in the reds and the browns, you'll see the Athabaskan Tlingit language group. The closer the hues are to each other, the more likely the native speakers are able to understand each other. So it's a really neat map to show the cultural characteristics of the state. Additionally, you'll notice, you might not be able to see it in the tiny inset, but the Athabaskan language has migrated all the way through Canada, and there are Athabaskan speakers that can speak to Athabascans in Alaska that are in Arizona and New Mexico. The area, 665,000 square miles. We measure the area in square miles, not acres, just because the number of acres would be astronomical. A population of about 736,000. Half of those live in Anchorage. As education professors, let's start over. At the University of Alaska Fairbanks, we are located in the heart of Alaska. We also have a University of Alaska Fairbanks campus in Anchorage. There are 3 universities that are associated with University of Alaska statewide. The University of Alaska Fairbanks campus is the oldest. It's a land grant, sea grant, and space grant institution, and we serve about 8,000 students. There's UAA in Anchorage, the University of Alaska Anchorage, where we have a campus, and Professor Brown is a member of that faculty. And then there's another UA campus called UA Southeast in Juneau. Alaska only has a limited number of roads. There's a road from Fairbanks to Anchorage, about 350 miles, a road from Fairbanks to Valdez, another 350 miles, a road from Fairbanks and out to Little Dogleg, but out to the Canadian border, and then there's another road that connects Anchorage and Valdez. That's about it. The rest of the travel that's done in Alaska is done by dog sled, by snow machine, by boat, and by plane. Ute is going to talk about this slide. So this slide, the number of school teachers in Alaska, the why that our focus in Alaska is to train teachers for the state of Alaska because of the unique cultural and geographic differences that our interns have to manage in order to be effective teachers. This is also Ute. Ute is going to explain the 3 pathways that we have. She's going to explain the undergraduate pathway, in which you have to double major, the certificate-only pathway, in which you come in with a undergraduate degree in a content area, and finally the MED, which is a longer program, somewhat more rigorous, and the students graduate with a Master's of Education, which she's going to explain the size of our faculty and the way that the program was designed to move the internship year. Our internship has evolved over the years, and we now practice a 1-year internship. At the beginning of the fall semester, the interns are paired with a mentor teacher with whom they'll develop a working relationship, and they're going to work with that mentor for the whole of the school year. The first semester, the fall practicum, consists of a number of observations and observation assignments that are meant to expose the student to as many different aspects of the school as we can in that time frame. They will shadow a principal, they might shadow a band teacher, they definitely other teachers in their content area, and personnel in the school that are responsible for the growth of the students and the education of our students. It's a part-time experience, typically 2 days during the week. There's also a middle school, high school exchange that happens in the later part of the fall, in which if you're at a high school, you'll go to a middle school for a week or 2. And budget permitting and travel permitting, we encourage all of our interns to engage or participate in the rural practicum. And in that, they're flown out to a rural community for a week and will develop and present a lesson to students there and learn how the community and learn some of the differences in a rural community and the community with which they're familiar. The spring internship is what you would probably typically call the student teaching experience. This is a full-time commitment for our interns. They're there from the time the teachers sign in to the time the teachers leave. They will begin with a single class, and then a week later they'll take another class until they're teaching a full load. And the mentor at that point will not be teaching any classes, will be assisting the intern by observing, by providing feedback, and by facilitating as much as possible. This mentor is also going to step out of the room for periods of time to let the intern really get an understanding of what it's like to be a full-time teacher. This experience then lasts for a month plus, and then they ramp down until by the end of the semester they're teaching one class, and they've been teaching that one class from the beginning to the end. So they get an experience of what it's like to, introduce students to themselves and then to carry out a final exam and all of the planning and assessment that goes along with that. We are a small program. So the secondary program at UAF averages about 16.6 students per year. I went to our data manager and I grabbed the last 5 years and kind of broke that down so that you would have a quick snapshot of our program. So we graduated about 83 students over the last 5 years. The average age of those students was about 31 years old. So you can see that these are non-traditional students. These are students who have come to us after a career, and so teaching is a second career. They have been in the military, they have been parents, and they've decided that they now have time to pursue their teaching career. About 13% of our students are BA students and 13% are licensure-only students. And then about 73%, the bulk of our students are participating in the master's program, in which at the end of about 18 months of work, they're going to graduate with an MED. Of the 83 students, about a third of them were working in rural Alaska at the time they moved through our program. So about a third of our students working in rural Alaska. This is Uta's slide. She's going to be talking about the changing demographics and the program expectations. These are all Leah's slides. Now, I'm looking at my timestamp. I've already gone 12 minutes, and I don't know how many slides I've done, so I might have to speed my slides up a little bit. This is the internship experience and then the mentor experience. This chart shows the TWT enrollment and the growth of the TWT model over the last 8 years. You'll notice, though, you want to be careful that the denominator is decreasing and the numerator is increasing, so it artificially inflates the y-axis a bit. We were going to turn this into a slide with 2 columns. So what have we done at the School of Education over the last couple of years now that we've identified this problem with the mismatch of our traditional internship and programs with the TWT model? Those students who don't have a full-time mentor and who are working full-time in rural Alaska. One thing we've done is that at the instructor level, we've differentiated the courses. Another thing that we've done is to take, this year at least, we've taken the TWTs and put them in Leah's class. So Leah now is teaching the TWTs, and she's able to differentiate the assignments, able to tailor the work that they need to do to better meet their experience as full-time teachers. This might be in lesson planning. It might be long-term curricular planning. These are the things that our teachers need to be able to do, and we don't want to tie them up with unnecessary education class requirements, for instance. Another thing that as supervision, we've developed a video documentation via GoReact. So this is a subscription program that we're using at the University of Alaska Fairbanks. We find it very valuable for being able to provide feedback to our interns from our supervisors at the university level. And finally, the end of the year, we use posters modeled after the scientific poster presentation, in which our students present their experience of the last year of their student teaching to the cohort, so that all of the students get to see what it's like in rural Alaska, and the rural Alaskan students see the experience from an urban perspective. Here's a picture of Cirilo's video using GoReact. I'm going to turn this slideshow on just so you can see it play. The way GoReact works is the student